Hey, hello everybody. As you see, I'm not alone at this moment. Next to me is Angelique Spaninks, curator and director of MU Hybrid Art House in Eindhoven, the Netherlands. And we'll have a short conversation on what actually is MU as an art space, as a hybrid art space. What is hybrid art? Let me read a little bit of your website. MU Hybrid Art House is all about art in the broadest sense of the word. Together with mainly young makers and a broad international audience, MU defines the liminal space between what art is and what art can be. Exhibitions and events at MU can be unpredictable, playful, touching, stimulating and visionary, and invite you to actively relate to the works and world around you. You write, we preferably initiate, produce and present new works surrounded by a stimulating secondary program in which we like to cross boundaries between disciplines. So, of course, my first question will be, do you also have somebody walking around who's stroking all the visitors?
No, but it's a good idea.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although, I must say, like, we've had different presentations in the last design week, where everybody came and we had a whole bunch of visitors, and you felt like everybody wanted to hug all the time.
Yeah.
And shake hands, maybe even less shake hands, but just hug and touch each other and smile and be happy together. So it's a good idea.
So this is what actually, I guess it is now 18 months of pandemic measures have done to us. Could well be that we're going to start new waves of corona infections and we're going to be...
It's already happening, yes.
So we're going to be distancing each other, and this might mean that we need to, some people say retreat, some people will say step forward into hybrid spaces. What for you is the definition of a hybrid space?
Well, hybridity as such is a word that is used a lot, and we used it before the pandemic already. So for us, it then meant seeking the in between of all the disciplines that we work in. MU we start from visual arts, and that's the category that we're subsidized in because policy often still thinks in disciplines, but the practice of artists, but also the most interesting works, in my opinion, come in between the disciplines, in the crossovers, in the experiments and the stretching of categories and of practices, and in the collaborations that you find all around now. So in that sense, hybridity for me is the playground where different perspectives, different experiences, different disciplines meet and merge and become something new and interesting. Sometimes playful, sometimes really critical, sometimes playfully critical, in different media, and quite unpredictable.
So this might be taken as a small plea for those people granting subsidies that there should be an extra box saying,
yeah, well, they always say they do and they want it, but it's very difficult for them to really grant it and to embrace it.
Yeah.
As a visual arts institute in the national basisinfrastructuur, we are in Eindhoven, so we have a lot of connections to design and to technology. Then we get a slight reprimand or a question like, are we not stepping too much out of the discourse of the visual arts? And I think like, well, no, we take the discourse of the visual arts into design, into technology, and try to make it work for all of these fields and to help artists, but also ourselves and the audience to think about these issues of merging practices.
And then this merging of practices, we are now seeing IMPAKT TV happening, which IMPAKT developed also partly because of the pandemic. What have you done at MU in those months when you were not allowed to receive physical visitors?
Well, the first thing we did the first lockdown started a week before we were opening our new exhibition, Worlding Worlds, which was about world building. So we were almost ready to receive all the artists to really fine-tune the installations, and then our doors were shut, and it was quite a challenge at that moment, but we also had the feeling like, we have to finish the exhibition. Even though we don't know how long we're going to be closed, we need to finish it and then make something inside the exhibition. And someone suggested, like, yeah, you should film the exhibition and then put that online. And I felt that was rather stupid, because it's an exhibition that you feel you have to move through. It was, even though it had a lot of video work, it was an exhibition you had to go through. So we started interviewing the artists about their work, very brief interviews. We made a film about the exhibition with the interviews embedded, and I think like 3 or 4 weeks after the opening had to happen, and we were still closed, we had this film online about the exhibition, which didn't give away everything about it. We didn't take you around with a 360 camera, but that gave an impression of the ideas behind it, and also how the artists were thinking about world building and different visions that we were then feeling and still feel are very necessary to have and to develop and to nurture in these challenging times.
Yeah, so actually that resonates a lot with the short video that you have online on the project that you have now on show, Life as We Know It, Alive, by the collective ARC, a multi-screen installation, and you announce it as follows, and excuse me for reading out. Worldwide, we watch 1 billion hours of online video a day. Games, music, news, makeup, ASMR, vlogs, documentaries, tutorials, interviews, reviews, challenges, and of course, cat videos. Not to forget IMPAKT TV. In the introductory video, ARC artists embedded in the screen at different positions in the video introduce the installation. And they say it's a cooperation between algorithms and human selectors, showing non-stop videos of what people are uploading. Actually showing that you are not, so that the internet is 1 million-fold more than what you are looking for, because it's all there. And if you are talking about it's something that you need to experience while being very close to it, I guess the same counts for this installation. Maybe 1 minute to make more propaganda.
Well, thank you. I always like propaganda. No, it is an installation about screen culture, and I think it's a very hybrid way of engaging with it, to be in it physically. It's not a multi-screen installation in the common sense that you see a story evolve in front of you over several screens. It is an exploded view of different scenes in which all the content from the internet that is scraped live by the search words that the artists have selected to, and in 10 different languages, in platforms that we don't know and can't read, from all over the world. This news feed or this image video feed is thrown at you. By being in there, it becomes an architecture. It becomes a space in itself, which you have to bodily engage with. So it's the other side of the hybridity and the internet and the online experience. It's the physical experience of being in there, and that's also for me this liminal space between what is offline and online. There is a big space in between. That is probably the hybrid area that we want to explore, and in this case we explore it more towards being offline and physically engaged within this internet culture, and at other moments it's the other way around.
So I guess that's also the reason why you are not having live streams of the screens in an online setting.
Because it doesn't work like that. No.
And then it might be that in the upcoming 10 days we'll have new measures in the Netherlands fighting the pandemic. Imagine you need to close doors. Then what with this installation that we will be no longer allowed to physically enjoy?
Well, that's a problem. I do think we will not have to fully close doors because of the codes that we have. If so, we still, and that is something we did in the third lockdown, set up installations that were open to either professionals or that were doing live performances. and trying to have an artistic approach to that installation. So in this case, I can imagine, even though it's quite short notice, that we will find a way to, we are already, at the opening night, we had a new Vogue dancer inside the total installation that really connected between the works with the dance style that they did and how they connected the different screens within the space and the mirrors that are there and the audience that moved with them in a very interesting way. And I can imagine that if we have to close doors, we will do something with a choreography and dancers that we will film, not just like seeing them dance, but to film them, to maybe have them film themselves or each other, and make a lively experience of the space with this embodied choreography.
Yeah, so then actually, and I'm trying to make this awful bridge to the next thing we'll be seeing here on IMPAKT TV, which is the panel on main stage talking about the language of internet. So actually we might say that at MU you're defining a new language for experiencing online phenomena in an offline space.
Yeah, but also the other way around,
yes.
Experiencing offline phenomena in an online space and trying to bridge these worlds and experiment with that in all kinds of ways. And always engaging artists and in this case also technologists, because I think the platforms that the online sphere needs, needs expertise that a lot of artists don't have or are not, and we are also not equipped for. Okay. So that's also something to really research and engage and experiment with.
Thank you very much. We'll have to leave it at this because you will be running down to main stage to actually see the conversation happening that we'll be seeing online. For those people that are grown curious about MU, website is rather simple, mu.nl. That's much more to be seen. Yep. Thanks again. Enjoy the conversation on main stage, where Linda Duits, a social scientist specialized in popular culture, discusses the language of love on the internet with the director Lilian Stolk, artist Dries Verhoeven, and journalist Kelly van der Waals. On topic not only abbreviations as ROFL, STFU, ICYMI, TLDR, Lemier. Would you know all what it means?
Yes.
Very good.
Most of them, not all.
I had to check a few.
But I also like the game of making something new out of it.
Yes, and then they will be talking about these words. I'm not going to give the solutions, but a lot more is on topic, like the challenges new media poses to the conventions of standardized language, implicit, explicit rules that are constantly forming and transforming. What are the latest trends? So if you watch this panel, you don't need to ask your little nephew. Enjoy the panel. And Angelique, thanks again.